What is up, everybody? This is your boy AJ Tripp, and we got our top 10 list for you today. With UMBC, a 16 seed, beating Virginia, a 1 seed, for the first time ever in the March Madness NCAA tournament. I thought, I wonder, is it the biggest upset of all time? Can it be? So I've done some little research and I found some upsets in sports history. And I said, you know what? Time for me to do a list. So I have compiled the top 10 upsets in sports history. Let's get to it. Number 10, the Giants defeating the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. I mean, this had to be an upset, right? I mean, this was just, how could this be? This was the New England Patriots, right? They were undefeated, 16-0 in the regular season. They had won their divisional playoff round. They had won their conference championship game. And now they're in the Super Bowl playing against the Giants, a team they beat in Week 17 to be undefeated. And the Giants gave them a hell of a game in Week 16, and then they came back and whooped them. Not whooped them, but they beat them 17-14 in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of them all. And I was rooting for them. You know, and it's kind of funny because as I look back now, as much as I would like there to be a team that was 18-0, so that we don't have to hear, and to be fair, the last probably since that season, really, since 2007, we really don't hear a lot from the 72 Miami Dolphins. We don't hear a lot from them. We really don't. And so I think, especially Mercury Morris, they all have, you know, they're hushed up. So I think it's a lot more palatable now. But for the longest time, you know, anytime somebody would, you know, get close and then, you know, they'd come rolling out and then just they pop their fucking champagne and all that crap, and so I really wanted it to happen. But now, looking on hindsight, I'm actually glad they didn't, because I have been fighting, and I've done a video on the whole who's better, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady thing, and if the New England Patriots did win and were undefeated, there would be even more than it is right now. Right now, there's like so much love about Tom Brady being the best quarterback, and if he was the quarterback on an undefeated, you know, untied Super Bowl winning team, it went 18-0 and everything like that, you know, it would just be ridiculous. So at this point, I am kind of happy that they didn't win the Super Bowl. But at the time, I will admit I did really want them to win it. So the number 10 upset of all time in sports history, the Giants over the Patriots. Number 9, the Golden State Warriors defeat the Dallas Mavericks in the 06-07 playoffs. Now, some may wonder, well, you selected this over the Denver Nuggets beating the Seattle Supersonics. And yes, and I think here's why. I think one, when Denver beat Seattle, even though that was the first team, the first 8 seed to beat a 1 seed in the playoffs. It was a 5-game series, and I think an 8 seed can beat a 1 seed in a 5-game playoff, because you only have to win 3 out of 5 games. Can beat it quicker than a 7-game series, because usually when it's a 7-game series, the better team is going to win, and that's in most sports. Football, not football, they don't have a 7-game series, but in basketball, baseball, and in hockey, the better team will win in the 7-game, and that's just kind of how it is. But in a 5-game series, in a short series, I don't know if hockey had a 5-game series, but I do know that if baseball has a 5-game series. It's in the divisional NLDS and ALDS, and basketball for a while had a 5-game series as well. And it's a lot easier for the lower seeded team, the lesser team, to surprise the teams and get the victory. In fact, it happened twice. Denver was the first team, but in that lockout year, the New York Knicks defeated the Miami Heat, and the New York Knicks actually went on to play the San Antonio Spurs in the playoffs. So that's in the NBA Finals that season. So it's done twice. But I think when you think about who Detroit, Golden State had. They had Baron Davis, and they had a bunch of other young players that were good, but they weren't great. And they had been this is their first time in the playoffs in a long time. Here you are. You had the number 1 seed Dallas Mavericks, and they had future Hall of Famers in Dirk Nowitzki and Steve Nash, and they just get mollywopped. But they lost in 6. And this was incredible. And there's a I forget what it's called out there, but the Golden State fans have a name for that team, and I forget what it's called, but it was just incredible, and it was a very just weird series, and it was shocking to watch. And because it was a Game 7 series, it was a best of 7 series. I do believe that this deserves to be on the list. Definitely more than the Knicks beating the Heat, and definitely more than the Denver Nuggets beating the Seattle Supersonics, who was the first team, the first 8 seed to win. So, number 9, the Golden State Warriors defeating the Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the 06-07 NBA playoffs. Number 8. James Madison beating Virginia Tech in 2010. This was, I remember this. I think this might have been the what started Frank Beamer's downfall at Virginia Tech. James Madison came into Virginia Tech, and I'm talking about put a hurting on the Virginia Tech Hokies. And it was unbelievable. What I'm talking about here is I'm talking about college football. So it was amazing to watch. This was, this is unheard of. Earlier, a couple of years earlier, Michigan had lost to Appalachian State, in the Big House. But and you thought that was something. But man, James Madison to beat Virginia Tech at home, it was an incredible watch. It was an incredible thing, and like I said, I think it started the downfall of one of the great coaches in college football history, in Frank Beamer. But you have to give James Madison credit. They came in there and they beat down the Virginia Tech Hokies in their home stadium. That was incredible. So for that, I must give James Madison the number 8 spot on my list of top 10 upsets of all time. Number 7, Boise State defeats Oklahoma. And this was, this was during the BCS era, and this was when, you was wondering, could a outsider get into the BCS? Could they get into, could they somehow get into that number 1 or number 2 spot? And teams kept getting close, but the one team that kept getting close and getting close and getting close was the Boise State Broncos. And they seemingly almost every year was undefeated. 11-0, 12-0, 11-0, 12-0, 11-0, 12-0. Almost every year, but they couldn't come close. And then finally, they never got to that top spot, but they broke through enough to where the committee decided to put Boise State. Oh, I don't even know if it was a committee. It was just select. Oklahoma and Boise State were to meet in a BCS bowl. And this was a terrific game. And Boise State, they stayed up and they stayed with Oklahoma, and they proved without a shadow of a doubt that they belonged. It was head by Chris Peterson. There were other things, and it was just so. And we had the last drive was so incredible because we had a hook a ladder that took the ball down into the territory, and then we had them. Boise State score a touchdown. They went, instead of tying the game, they went for 2. They went for the win, and they ran a Statue of Liberty play, and they won. And then there was that idea of the running back who scored, Ian Johnson. He was a star running back, getting down on one knee and proposing to the head cheerleader, his girlfriend, at the end of the game, which was something special to watch and everything like that. And it was so and it brought Boise State to the forefront, to where even now, it's not the same way because Chris Peterson has moved on to Washington, but Boise State is still always a shot to make it into what is now the BCS playoff. So it's incredible, and of course this led to other teams going so far as the Utah Utes. A couple years later, they played Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, and they whooped them in the Sugar Bowl. Now, there has been some other things where Hawaii, they got their shot against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and they were put down. And a couple years ago, Northern Illinois, they had a shot. I forget what team they faced. I believe in the Orange Bowl, and they were unfortunately quickly dismissed in that game as well. But this gave a big shout out to everybody in the I guess you call it mid majors of college football, that we can hang with them. And TCU, how can I forget TCU? Before TCU was in the Big 12, TCU was one of those teams as well that seemingly was always 12-0 and 13-0 or whatever, going and facing the big guys in the BCS bowls and winning them and things like that. So, but this was a humongous upset of mass proportions, and we got to give all credit to Boise State beating Oklahoma in a BCS bowl. Unbelievable. I talked about this earlier. Appalachian State defeating Michigan in the Big House. This was absolutely incredible. This was the Big Ten Network's debut game. It was Tom Brenneman, and it was who was else? It was I know Tom Brenneman was on the call, and it was somebody, maybe Charles Davis, somebody like that. But they were on the call, and you could not believe what they were talking about, and everything. They could not believe that Appalachian State was hanging with Michigan, and this was not just any Michigan team. This was a Michigan team that had I think I believe this Michigan team that still had Chad Henne and Mike Hart and a couple other big name players, on their team from the previous season. And Appalachian State went in there and they rocked them. And they hit them in the mouth. And then it went down, and Michigan came back. Give all credit to Michigan. That's what Michigan should have done. Michigan came back. They took the lead. Appalachian State went down, drove the field, kicked the field goal. They took back the lead. Then Michigan went down. They drove the field, got in the field goal range, but Appalachian State blocked the field goal, and pandemonium ensued, and Appalachian State had beat Michigan in the big house. It was incredible. I think, if I can remember correctly, I believe Michigan was a 30-point favorite over Appalachian State. Let me do a quick Google search here. Michigan was a 33-point favorite over Appalachian State. They were a 33-point favorite. And they lost in the big house to Appalachian State. And this put Appalachian State on the map. The next year, I believe, they faced LSU, the defending national champions. They didn't have as much luck with LSU as they did with Michigan. And now even Appalachian State, I believe, is now in the FBS, as it's now called. So that game really put Appalachian State on the map, and it was one of the biggest upsets of all time. It might even put the Big Ten Network on the map. The Big Ten Network was having problems. It wasn't going to be shown on certain cable companies or in certain areas of the country or something like that. Whatever, but it was a big day. That opening weekend in 2007, Appalachian State shocked the world and beat Michigan. And I keep saying in Michigan, in the big house, because Michigan, the big house has this mystique about it where Michigan rarely loses in the big house. It's one of those things that Michigan rarely would lose in the big house. And they lost to Appalachian State, who at that time was a 1AA/FCS, whatever you want to call it, team. So it was a big time win for Appalachian State, a big time upset in sports history, and that's why I've got it at number 6 on my list of the top 10 upsets in sports history. How about number 5? NC State defeating Phi Sigma Gamma in the 1983 NCAA tournament, and we all remember that famous video of the shot being thrown up and it's being short, but I think it's Lorenzo Charles, right? He comes in, he catches it and dunks it, and the crowd's going crazy, and Jimmy V is running around the court looking for somebody to hug and everything like that. It is an amazing story, and I think I saw the 30 for 30 on the Houston Houston that year, and it was last year. Last year it was the 30 for 30 on the Houston Cougars, and talked about that game, and it was funny to see it from Houston's side of things. It really was very, very interesting. But NC State, without question, one of the great upsets in sports history, and now we know Jimmy V now for obviously the Jimmy V Foundation for cancer research and a whole bunch of other things he has done, and that foundation has done. So that's a great thing, and to come out of that game too from Houston, we had Clyde Drexler and Akeem Olajuwon on the Houston Cougars. So it was I would have been 1 year old, so I certainly wouldn't have remembered it. So But just because I couldn't remember it doesn't mean that I don't know about it. And because I do know about it, it's number 5 on my list of the top 10 upsets in sports history. Number 4, Buster Douglas beats Mike Tyson. Let me tell you something, guys. A lot of y'all young folks out there, y'all know Mike Tyson as this guy who singing Phil Collins on the Hangover, or he's got some type of weird cartoon, and he's friends with all the late night guys and everything like that, and he is like this almost very gentle human being. But late 80s, early 90s, he was the baddest man on the planet. He was one scary son of a bitch for play for people, and he would just, and I mean, in boxing, he would knock them out, lay them out. It was incredible to see. It was. I almost remember where I was. I think because I was in bed, and because this was in Tokyo, so I was in bed, and I remember just going about it. I think. I'm not sure. I think maybe my mom may have been listening to it on her headset, and came across the headset that way, or we saw it come across the television, whatever. But we couldn't believe that Mike Tyson get knocked out by Buster Douglas. It was amazing. Then, of course, we know what it led to the downfall of Mike, and the stuff that happened, and so I would just say that he was convicted of rape, and that is true. You can't take that away. He was convicted of rape shortly after his fight and downfall and everything like that, and his long-time father figure, Customato, had died, and he went down a real bad path. But it was amazing to hear that and to find out that some guy that you never heard of, Buster Douglas, had beaten Mike Tyson, who you thought was unbeatable. That was unbeatable. It got to the point where, because he was knocking fools out in seconds. And it got to the point that pay-per-views, like, the people on pay-per-view, they would have to give money back because, people ordered looking for a fight, and the fight didn't happen. It wasn't a fight. It was 2 punches and a both knockout. So, yeah, Mike Tyson had people pissing in his pants, man. Mike Tyson had people pissing in their pants. And so when Buster Douglas beats Mike Tyson, it was one of the greatest upsets of all time in sports history. There's no doubt about that. And that's why it's number 4 on my list of the top 10 upsets in sports history. Number 3, the Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. I mean, listen. This is the U.S. hockey team comprised of a bunch of amateurs going up against the Soviets, who had dominated a long time. I think they even had like some pros on their team, and to beat the Soviets in hockey was, from the U.S. standpoint, it was amazing. And This was a little before my time. This was 1980. I was born in 82, so but this was something that you just, you just didn't see. This was amazing, and all those guys, and winning it for the country with a gold medal. I should say the gold medal. This was the right to go and play for the gold medal, which they did, and they went and they beat Finland for the gold medal. So, but really, nobody expected the United States hockey team to beat the Soviets, and they did, and it was incredible. It is a story for the ages. I'm not a hockey guy, not a hockey fan, but this does bring joy to one's heart when you hear about the stories and you hear about everything like that. It is something that you always want to hear. At least I do, and so without question, one of the biggest upsets of all time. Number 3 on my list of the greatest upsets in sports history. The U.S. hockey team defeating the Soviets in the 1980 Winter Olympics. Number 2. The reason why I'm doing this list. UMBC, a 16 seed, beating the number 1, not only the number 1 seed in their region, but they were the number 1 overall seed. Virginia, my pick to win it all, and UMBC pretty much destroyed them. Wow, it was incredible to watch, incredible to root for. I could not believe it. 16 seed defeated a 1. It was incredible theater. It was such good drama. And it was so fun to watch. And this entire March Madness so far has been actually incredible. The Loyola Chicago run here in Chicago, Sister Jean becoming a celebrity, and then some of the other great things that are going on. And at the time of this recording, it's an Elite 8 field with 9-1s, it looks like. At least in a couple of brackets. So it is incredible, and so yeah, without question, UMBC, which by the way is like the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, something like that. So nobody knew what the hell it is, but they were, and here they are. Going, a 16 seed, beating a 1 seed, and not any 1 seed, but again, the number 1 overall team, the Virginia Cavaliers, UMBC, makes it the number 2 upset of all time in sports history. And now for the number 1 all-time upset in sports history, in my mind, it is the Jets defeating the Colts in the NFL-AFL championship game. And I say this for all of the reasons why you would think. I mean, this was the NFL, like destroying, the AFL, the Green Bay Packers, defeating the Raiders, defeating the Chiefs in the first 2 Super Bowls. There was so much talent in the NFL. NFL was seen as the better product, and it was seen like that. The Baltimore Colts were a team of destiny, and then you have Joe Namath, who is this flashy character, and he guarantees a victory. With the fur coats and the laying on the beach and all of that good stuff. And then the Jets to go out there and then to win, take that guarantee, and Joe Namath runs off that field with the finger wagging. Just incredible. Because of that game, I do believe that we are now where the NFL would be. If the Baltimore Colts win that game, I'm not sure if there is a NFL-AFL merger, and then we have everything goes on. I think it's still maybe two separate leagues going on, the NFL and the AFL, to this day. Well, I can't say that. Maybe at some point there probably would have been a merger. Definitely, there probably would have been a merger. It just wouldn't have happened as quickly as it did, because it happened 1970, I believe, the merger. And but not only did the Jets beat the Colts, but then the next year the Chiefs beat the Vikings, and then I think there was the merger. But and then it became the NFC and AFC, and we stayed with the NFL. But it is a hell of an upset. It is unbelievable, and I guess say this enough. I don't think the NFL that we have today would be what it is if not for that upset. And I personally believe that is why it belongs as the greatest upset in sports history. When you look at all of the other upsets on my list, I think there are some good ones. And I talked about Boise State beating Oklahoma and what that did for, you know, the quote unquote mid majors of college football, and maybe what and how that could have helped, with the playoffs, coming into effect, and how Appalachian State beating Michigan, and how that helped Appalachian State rise into the FBS, and the Miracle on Ice, and all of that. But I don't believe that any of those upsets changed the face of a sport like the Jets over the Colts did. And that's why they are the #1 upset in sports history. Alright, y'all. Post any comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what your top 10 would be. Tell me did I miss anything off? There's a lot of other ones I could have talked. I could have talked about Leicester City a couple years ago, defeating in the soccer thing, right? Leicester City soccer. They were like 50,000 to 1 to win, and they did. And then there's that chick who beat Serena Williams a couple years ago in the U.S. Open. There was her. And there were many other upsets. Holly Holm defeating Ronda Rousey, in the UFC. So many upsets to choose from. But these are my 10. And if you have any others, please post down in the comment section below. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. This is your boy AJ Tripp signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.